Hello everyone. So if I had to describe sociology to someone who was unfamiliar with it, I'd say it's like putting on glasses that let you see the invisible forces that are shaping our lives. Before this class, I might have blamed myself or others for certain outcomes, but now I can recognize how deeply individual experiences are connected to social structure. What I think will stick most with me is the concept of the hidden curriculum. I learned through Teresa Rocha's reading The Luxury of Knowing. She wrote about being a first-generation college student who struggled to understand academic norms, like how to write emails to professors or ask for letters of recommendation. These are things that many privileged students just know through family or social networks. Reading her story made me realize that success in education isn't just about effort, it's also about knowing the unwritten rules. Her work has helped me reflect on how cultural and social capital shape educational outcomes, and it really changes the idea that anyone can succeed alone with just hard work. This reading has made me rethink about how I view other students and even myself. As someone who plans to be an educator, this class has shown me the value of the sociological perspective, how it can be in a classroom, whether it's understanding students' experience at school differently based on their backgrounds, or recognizing that some kids may not know what the hidden curriculum is, like how to ask for help or build relationships with teachers. This perspective has helped me lead with empathy, instead of assuming that all students have the same tools or support at home. I'll be more mindful of the barriers that they may have to be navigating. I also want to create a classroom culture where those invisible rules are made visible, where no one feels left behind because they didn't already know how the system works. Sociology has made me realize that good teaching isn't just about the content, but it's also about creating access, trust, and good support. Another major insight from a video lecture is where Professor Blackstone describes research methods and explains how we often rely on common sense or tradition, even when those beliefs are inaccurate. For example, during COVID, many people assumed that the risk was equally distributed, but research revealed that lower income and minority communities faced a much higher exposure. This wasn't just about personal choices, it was about access to remote jobs, healthcare, and housing. Learning this has helped me appreciate how sociology doesn't just explain the world, but it also can correct misinformation and drive better policies. A third source that stood out with me was Elizabeth Ann Wood's reading, The Flying Trapeze. It was a deeply personal story, and it also uses sociological concepts like alienation and to understand the toll of burnout and disconnection. Wood's metaphor of the trapeze net as a form of social support stuck with me. It made me think about the importance of a community and institutionalized safety nets. It's not just for academic success, but for emotional well-being. She showed that social structures can either trap us or catch us when we fall. That metaphor will stay with me, especially when thinking about how we can design systems that can support people instead of isolating them. The fourth insight that came from a conversation I had with a friend after class. We were talking about one of our friends who was having a really hard time with some personal stuff in life, and I said something about how I just don't understand why they can't pull it together. My friend gently reminded me that it's not easy, which reminded me of what I read in Daniel Egan's When Ideology and Empathy Collide. She writes about how even when we know about things like structural inequality and social determinants of health, it's still easy to fall back on the idea that people are in full control of their outcomes. That conversation helped me realize how the culture around us encourages the way of thinking. It made me pause and reconsider how I frame other people's struggles. Even when I don't mean to be gentle, it's a good reminder that a sociological perspective isn't just something we use in class, but it's more thoughtful and everyday conversation. Sociology has changed the way that I move in the world. I do not plan to major in it, but I do see how sociological imagination helps make sense of everyday life and why some people struggle more than others, why certain norms feel natural when they're actually constructed. Whether I'm watching the news or talking to friends or planning a career, I now have the framework for asking better questions and seeing the bigger picture. Most of all, sociology has taught me that we're not just individuals making isolated choices. We're all shapes by rules expected to play. The scripts were handled in the structures around us, but it shows me that change is possible once you see the code and start to rewrite it. Thank you. Have a great summer.